The rising sign in astrology is so critical to who we are as people. According to Channy Nichols' book, You Were Born for This, it is the most personal point in your chart as it symbolizes your motivation for being here and tells what gets you going, gets you out of bed, and sets you on the quest of life. It is determined by the exact degree of the zodiac that was rising over the eastern horizon at the moment you took your first breath. Or in other words, it is the archetypal energy that was most active, prominent, and prevalent in the environment at the moment you entered this earth. And that energy imprints itself on who we are. It makes sense that the energy that surrounded us when we first navigated our way into and showed up in this world is reflected in our personalities, having a huge influence on how we navigate and show up in this world for the rest of our lives. A great example of how important, influential, and impactful rising sign energy is on who we are as people can be seen in Season 3, Episode 8 of The Bear. First, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jada Water, and I share observations, insights, and personal experiences with philosophy, astrology, mythology, and Pan-African cosmologies. I'm not an expert or the authority on anything, but I like to think of myself as a philosopher in the way that Pythagoras defined it. Whereas wise men had called themselves sages, or those who know, a philosopher is one who is attempting to find out. In this episode, titled Ice Chips, Sugar asks her mom to help distract her from the horrors of labor by sharing details about the day she and her siblings were born. The mom, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, describes Carmi's birth as such.
Your father was there for that one. I wish. No, seriously. We were fighting the entire time in the hospital. The hospital was a mess. It was as if every person in the world decided to have labor at that exact second. And he kept asking for a sedative. Like he was about to give birth. Like he was asking for a sedative and he was panicking and he freaked me the out. And then Carmen, he took so long, so hard, and so scary because he kept getting stuck and they just kept trying to move me. And I remember them moving me all these positions, and then at one point I think they had me upside down or something. I don't even remember.
That immediately let me know that his was a Mars-influenced birth. Mars, the planet of war, represents the energy of aggression, clashes, and chaos. The mom was saying she was fighting with Carmi's father at the time of his birth, that the hospital environment was tense and chaotic, she was constantly being jostled into physical discomfort, and that it was long, hard, and all around. With that Martian energy surrounding and saturating the moment and environment that his body first emerged on Earth, I would guess that Carmi is an Aries rising. According to Channy, Aries ascendants need to headbutt their way into life, as crashing into things every now and then can build a kind of resilience. Mars makes them want to prove themselves through engaging in stressful, courageous acts that test their ability to struggle and emerge triumphant. This perfectly fits the energy in the environment at the time of Carmi's birth. The mom describes Sugar's birth as such.
And I remember I climbed into bed and I fell into the deepest, fastest sleep I've ever had. And I had this really vivid dream, but you know those kind of dreams where you're just doing normal stuff? But things are like super detailed. Yeah. So, in this nothing dream, I must have had like the day off from whatever job, I had, because I was in the city, and it wasn't Chicago, and it wasn't New York, it was some sort of hybrid city, and there was a fish tank.
A fish tank?
Fish tank in the middle of the city. It was this giant fish tank, and I was the only one looking at it. I mean, it was like a mega, like a dentist office kind of mega fish tank. And I remember the colors they were so sharp and vivid and neon, and I was the only one looking at it. And it was in the city, and the city was all gray. And it was beautiful. beautiful. And I remember I was like watching it for the longest time. I was just staring at it for the longest time. All of a sudden I noticed that the glass started to come apart like it was going to split. But I wasn't worried. You know, it wasn't bad because I knew that more people were going to get to see these beautiful fish. And then I woke up and I was sweating and my water had broke.
I was immediately like, oh, Pisces rising. In traditional astrology, Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, and according to Chani, Pisces risings are motivated to move in every direction, dispersing their energy in various ways. We see this sense of dissemination and expansion when the fish that are contained in this tank are disseminated and proliferated and spread throughout the world, specifically for the purpose of being a benefit to everybody and uplifting everybody. Very Jupiterian. Pisces is a natural healer who, according to Chani, is known for spreading unending compassion, kindness, and empathy throughout the world, and feels compelled to address the wounds of those who aren't even ready to heal. In modern astrology, Pisces is ruled by Neptune, the planet of dreams, illusions, and the spirit realm, which we see with the mom saying Sugar's birth began while she was asleep and in a dream state. The deepest, fastest sleep she's ever had. Pisces is also the last sign of the zodiac, and in an archetypal sense, represents completion and transcendence and enlightenment, which is what the colors in the fish tank convey in my view as they're going out to brighten up a dull world. And of course, Pisces is a water sign that's often stylized as a pair of fish, which really makes it the most on-the-nose part of the symbolism. The thing about rising sign energy is that it not only encapsulates how we first show up in this world, but how we continue to navigate our paths through the rest of our lives. Throughout the series, we see Carmi being motivated by Martian energy and a life marked by a need to take risks as a chef and prove himself by engaging in stressful, courageous acts that test his ability to struggle and emerge triumphant. He's very action-oriented. He seems to be driven by an inexhaustible internal fire and even competition, and going as far as to leave his family's restaurant in search of a worthy opponent. Throughout the series, we see Sugar serving up archetypal Pisces energy, always trying to heal something or somebody, whether they want her to or not, and just being a wellspring of empathy. While it's good for parents and caregivers to understand the importance of the energies that were present and had the most prominent influence at the time of their child's birth, that information really becomes transformative when they use it to inspire and inform the strategies, practices, and tools that can help their kids address those energies within themselves and harness them to overcome challenges, actualize their full potential for themselves and their communities, and awaken to their highest selves. Imagine if his mother and the adults in their lives had been mindful of the nature of Aries energy, becoming aware of its healthy expressions and its toxic or distorted expressions, and working to help Carmi build his awareness of his energy and the tools or strategies he would need to address them as early as possible. It would have greatly reduced or minimized unnecessary suffering for Carmi and the people in Carmi's life. Perhaps his care team or his village could have worked to give him as much independence as possible, ample opportunities to assert his energy and take action on the things that interest him, and provided monitored spaces for him to take risks in. Perhaps they would have proactively taught him to engage in competition, not as a way to headbutt others, but as a way to headbutt the task at hand. Sugar actually mentions earlier in the episode how she feels everything and everyone's feelings and how draining and distorting that is for her, with this Reddit poster noting that she cares so much for others that she sometimes forgets to take care of herself. In this episode, and in this whole season really, she's actually super stressed and concerned about the environment her daughter will be born into and the circumstances surrounding her birth, saying she didn't want her mom there initially because of the energy she tends to bring with her. She thinks she can exert supreme control over the situation, but what's meant to be will be. And so it's less about fearing or trying to control the energy to a unrealistic degree, but more so being aware of it and learning how to navigate it. So you can then teach your child how to navigate it. Maybe if Sugar's mother and other adults in her life could have worked to build her discernment about where to disperse her energy and to build boundaries, that would have protected her from this sense of martyrdom or constantly feeling the weight of the world's emotions and experiences. Perhaps they would have helped her learn to concentrate her healing energy on artistic projects, which would be a much more practical and emotionally sustainable way to disperse that energy in every direction and heal the masses all over the world. Let them go stare at your artwork and cry and have a cathartic experience. You don't have to personally be the one to go and manage everyone's emotions and experiences. So yeah, this episode really shows the impact of the energy that surrounds us at birth. Of course, you could just observe it yourself and intuit your way through supporting your child's needs, or you can see it in your child's astrology chart and use that information to gain immense insight on their life's purpose as individuals, the roles they're meant to play in community or within the collective, and how we can help them navigate their inherent strengths and challenges in an empowering way. Ashe.